This is a Turkish story, and it's about a young boy named Hasan. And Hasan's a kid that he doesn't remember what he's told to do, and so he has to be told multiple times. And he gets easily distracted, so it's hard for him to keep on track. And so one day his master calls him in and gives him a penny and says, "Hasan, go to the store and get some salt for me." Well, in Hasan's village, the word for salt is hic, and it also sometimes can mean nothing. So Hasan is trying to figure out how he's going to remember to buy salt as he walks all the way to the village. And so he says, "I know, I'll just keep repeating this over and over and over to myself, and when I get there I'll remember." So he starts walking down the path, and he's saying hic, hic, hic as he walks along. And along the way he sees a man out in a river fishing, so he stops alongside the river and he's watching the man, and he says hic, hic. Well, since hic can mean salt, but it also means nothing, Hasan, or the fisherman, thought Hasan was mocking him because he wasn't catching any fish. And so he says, "Little boy, you shouldn't say that, that's not very nice." And Hasan is taken aback, and he said, "Well, mister, what should I say?" And the man says, "You should be saying, 'May there be 5 or 10 of them.'" And Hasan thinks about that, and he's like, "Okay, that's a good thing to say. May there be 5 or 10 of them. May there be 5 or 10 of them." And he watches the fisherman for a little bit longer, and then he continues on his way toward the village. And as he walks along, he keeps repeating, "May there be 5 or 10 of them. May there be 5 or 10 of them." And as he's on the path, he sees a funeral procession coming, and they're carrying the dead man down the street. So he stands off to the side of the path, and as they come by with the dead man, he keeps saying, "May there be 5 or 10 of them. May there be 5 or 10 of them." And an old lady hears him say this, and she hits him, and she says, "Little boy, you shouldn't say that. That's not very nice to say at a funeral." And Hasan is taken aback by this, and he says, "Well, ma'am, what should I say then?" And so she tells him, "You should be saying, 'May God bless his soul.'" And Hasan thinks about that, and he said, "Yeah, that's an appropriate thing to say." So he watches the funeral procession as it moves on down the road, and he says, "May God bless his soul. May God bless his soul." So he's walking along to the village and keeps repeating, "May God bless his soul. May God bless his soul." And he sees a dead animal on the side of the road, and being a little boy and full of curiosity, he walks over to the dead body, and he's looking at it, and he's poking at it, and the whole time he's doing this, he's saying, "May God bless his soul. May God bless his soul." And somebody else comes along, and they hear him saying to a dead animal, "May God bless his soul. May God bless his soul." And they tell him, "Little boy, that's not an appropriate thing to say to a dead animal. Dead animals don't have souls." And so Hasan says, "Well, then what should I be saying?" And this person says, "Well, you should be saying, 'Ew, what a smell. Ew, what a smell.'" And so he thinks, well, that's a good thing to say about a dead animal. So he continues walking towards the village, and he's going like this down the street. "Ew, what a smell. Ew, what a smell." And just about then he gets to the edge of the village, and right in front of him, 3 ladies step out of a Turkish bath, and they're covered in perfumes and satins and all their fancy clothes, and they step out right in front of him, and he goes, "Ew, what a smell. Ew, what a smell." And these ladies turn around and they look at him, and they hit him because that's not a nice thing to say to a lady who just came out of a bath and smells like perfume. And so they tell him, "Little boy, you shouldn't be saying that." And so he asks, "Well, then what should I say?" And they tell him, "Well, when you encounter ladies, you should say, 'Oh, how lovely. Oh, how nice.'" And so Hasan thinks about that, and he says, "Yeah, that's a good thing to say to a lady." So he continues through the village, and he's saying, "Oh, how lovely. Oh, how nice." And as he comes around a corner, he sees 2 guys in the middle of a fist fight, and they're punching each other, and biting and punching and kicking, and as he's watching this, he's standing there saying, "Oh, how lovely. Oh, how nice. Oh, how lovely. Oh, how nice." And the men hear him and they stop and they say, "Little boy, why are you saying that? We're having a fist fight." And Hassan says, "Well, if I shouldn't say that, then what should I say?" And they tell him, "You should say, 'Please, gentlemen, please stop fighting. Please, gentlemen, please stop fighting.'" And so Hassan decides this is a good thing to say when two men are having a fist fight. So he continues through the village and he's heading towards the market. And he keeps saying, "Please, gentlemen, please stop fighting. Please, gentlemen, please stop fighting." And as he comes around another corner, there's two dogs, and they're having a dog fight, and they're snarling, and they're rolling, and they're biting, and he's watching this, and he says, "Please, gentlemen, please stop fighting. Please, gentlemen, please stop fighting." And as somebody hears him saying this, and they said, "Little boy, you shouldn't call a dog a gentleman. Dogs aren't gentlemen, they're just dogs." And Hassan says, "Well then, what should I be saying?" And the person says, "You should say, 'Bad dog, go away, dog.'" And Hassan continues on his way and he starts saying, "Bad dog, go away, bad dog. Bad dog, go away." And he continues in through the village and he gets to the edge of the market. And as he's walking in, he stops to watch the shoemaker making some shoes. And the shoemaker is holding the leather in his teeth because he's kind of trying to stretch it out a little bit, and he's kind of wrangling it with his teeth. And Hassan is saying, "Bad dog, go away, dog." And the shoemaker throws down the leather and he smacks Hassan and he says, "Why are you calling me a dog, little boy? That's not a very nice thing to say. You shouldn't call a grown-up a dog." And Hassan says, "Well, what should I be saying?" And the shoemaker looks at Hassan and he says, "You should be saying nothing. You should just say Hic." And Hassan thinks about that for a second and he continues on his way, and then he remembered he's walking down the street and he's saying Hic, Hic, Hic. And then he remembers, "Oh yeah, I was coming here to buy salt." And he went to the right stall in the market and he bought his salt, and he went home and got a pat on the head because he actually remembered to do the right thing. No idea how to turn it off.